Look at that grey. Forecast was reasonably grey start with some patches of sun, and we ended up with a deep frost. There we are. Right, well, some of you may remember I planted a lot of daffodils along the edge of this bank for the lady who provides me with water, and I was looking the other day, you start to see them coming through. There's a couple of nice ones there with buds on, and a lot more there, and in fact all the way along. And so I think we're going to get a really nice show of daffodils or narcissi, whatever they were that we ended up planting. You tend to forget, but yeah, there's a good 6 or so there. So that's good. I'm looking forward to seeing those flowers. Right, let's get on the plot and see what's going on today. You can see the remnants of the frost on these mounds. Otherwise, looking around the plot, it's starting to defrost quite rapidly now, as I think it warms up a little. Let's go in. Oh yeah, you can see it on the top surface of that compost. Let's go into the polytunnel and just take a look at those onions, see how they're looking this morning. You get that period where they just poke their heads out the ground and you get a little arch, and then suddenly they spring up and properly look like onions. Get those covers off. Right, moment of truth. I'll show you what they look like. So yeah, they're still in that sort of loop phase, and these are all globos, so it's great to know that I've got globos coming. And then over here the Bedfordshire Champions have come up, the Zebrun and the Ryansburger, that's a long keeping onion, they don't seem to have come up. So definitely got different rates of germination. Oh, there is one Zebrun over in the corner, and I think there I've got 12, 13, 14, 15 of those, so that's fine. But these are doing really well. So good on the onions. I am toying with the idea of putting some water barrels, because I've got a couple spare, up on this patio. I'm just really sort of tempted by making use of the height and feeding water into here. Not really made up my mind yet, but one thing I do know is I need to empty this barrel or quarter barrel down here because it's not got anything in it, and I'm thinking the soil, once I've shaved the weeds off the top, can go in my main bed. So I'll get my wheelbarrow, just see if I can get that empty. Right, this is mainly reasonable compost. It's certainly got some roots in it, I'm not sure what they are, but I tried to grow garlic in here last year and it was okay, it was all right. Not fantastic, but it was okay. So this soil should be all right. It's certainly reasonable looking spent compost. So I'll get this out and then take a look at the condition of the barrel. I'm sort of hoping it's going to be, well, whole, no holes in it, and then I might consider using it for that lily that I'm going to move out the pond. Right, I'll get on. Well, you know that plan that I had about sort of using this barrel to house water and put my water lily in. There's the answer. Not going to happen. Completely forgot that this one had no bottom at all. In fact, it's the top of a barrel, so it works like that. I had some membrane under, no weed coming up, but it's got limited uses. But putting all that compost in, I'll show you. Well, as you can see, it's a fair amount of compost, and it will help to fill this bed with reasonably good compost, because what's left in here at the moment is not great, given that it's been dried out and heated, no end of times, and not really replenished or refreshed very often. I've got to be careful because I've got a wandering thyme or a creeping thyme down here, and I don't want to suffocate it. It's done really well during the winter months. It seems to really like this position, so I'm just going to protect that, spread the rest of this compost around. And yeah, so that means I just got this bit when I take out the strawberries, which are coming on lovely. I just have to work out how to fill that, or maybe even just spread what I've got, and then this bed will be pretty well replenished for the season. So I think I'm going to put these barrels up there and arrange them and see what they look like. I've got one bottom half or bottom third of a barrel here as well, which I could still do what I was planning for with the lily, but let's get it up there and see what it looks like, and then I can decide whether I like it. I might just live with it for a day or two in that position and get used to it, see if it's what I want to do. There we are. There's that barrel that has got integrity. Let's see what we can do. Well, I don't know. I don't know what configuration would work, or what quite the best thing to do is. They both have their taps really low down, of course, so you can't get anything under them unless you raise them. Even if I had one overlapping this edge, I still probably couldn't get anything underneath it. I like the idea of having the lily in here, and this does have a hole because it's got a tap hole, but I'm sure I can bung that. In fact, I think I might have a tap that I could use for bunging it up. But the height's good. The height would mean that I'd get a good flow of water into there if I ever needed to use it for that purpose. But I don't like all the different heights. I guess putting that one up higher might be a way forward. Anyway, I'm going to live with it here for a little while and see how I feel about it. If you've got any suggestions, then put them in the comments. Can't say I'll definitely do what you suggest, but I always love reading the suggestions, and I get an awful lot of suggestions which are very helpful indeed. One of the subscribers, viewers, made a comment about the rubbish that I was finding down by that string of barrels I've filled with water. I'd never dug that area before, and when I came to sort of try and level it, there was plastic bottles and bits of metal and various other things, and they were saying how ridiculous it is that rubbish gets accumulated like that on a plot. And then he went on to say he even thought that he had a bit of asbestos on the plot in the sheet form, and that he couldn't believe it, but he's leaving it alone. And well, I think I have too. Let me show you what I found. A working knowledge of asbestos because of the various industries that I've worked with, and well, all the information that I'm aware of says leave it alone, and that's exactly what I've done here. But when I created this area with the polytunnel just where it is, I came across these strips that look awfully like asbestos roofing to me, and so I just kept it there and I've never touched it. And the main thing is that you don't disturb it in any way. Outside it's not particularly dangerous, but don't touch it, don't take the risk, just leave it where it is. And if somebody's qualified to remove it, then that's a different matter. But just goes to show some of the bizarre things that people have decided to put on plots. I guess in days gone by, the dangers of asbestos weren't fully appreciated, but there we are. You're not the only one who's got asbestos, unfortunately, and that's some of the things we deal with. Well, I feel like I'm winning now with emptying the shed. But I'm getting down to the really difficult bits, you know, the rubbish, bits and bobs, things that I've accumulated. So I'm going to spend just a short while decanting some of that. I got some good crates, which I've had for years. And what I'm thinking, if I can get them apart, is that I will put together the things that I need to keep and start to put to one side the stuff that I need to get rid of. And then I should be nearly out of here, I reckon, after this one final push. Right, I'll show you at the end what I've accumulated, what's decent, what's rubbish, and you get an idea of, wow, what us allotment holders tend to do habitually. We'll see. Oh my word, I knew it was going to be horrible, but it's amazing how much bits and bobs you keep. So I got a load of recycling that's going over the house to be recycled. I've got a container with some vermiculite in it, and I've got some organic poultry manure, only a little bit left, some bloodfish and bone. Here we've got some matting, which I'll use, capillary matting in the polytunnel. We've got some old potato sacks and a few bits of net. Oh, odds and sods. Just butane for my cooker, various things. We've got some pots and some sewing tools, load of hand tools, plastic cloches, bag full of gloves, lots of plumbing and guttering bits and bobs, a whole load of cans of things that can stay because it's cider vinegar, which can be used for the chickens, and polystyrene trays, bits of plastic from the old greenhouse. I've got a lot of that in the polytunnel, which I use. The essential supports for the bench, the additional bench space in the polytunnel. But when you amass it, it is so much stuff. So I'm going to have a real attempt to stack that up in those crates, condense it as much as I can. I'll get rid of any paint that I can't use, and yeah, just try and rationalize a little bit. But truth be known, there's so many bits and bobs there that I would like to keep. It's just I don't want to fill the polytunnel, which is over there somewhere in the mist. So I might end up just stacking this neatly back in the shed and getting onto that box in the days to come to accommodate it. So yeah, horrible job, but necessary given that I'm coming out of here. Okay. Let's see if I can get this stuff away, or at least tidied. Right, well, there's still a couple of things to do in here, but essentially I'm out. Everything that's in that corner is going to be owned by the new owner of the shed, and it's all chicken related, including the hutch, which I'm glad to give him for isolating any hens that have got any issues and need that isolation. So it's a good tool for that. And this is what I've got to sort of rehouse, my tools, these crates, and then I'll take down brackets and things as a last effort. There's a little bit there which was inside the hutch. I just need to sort. The stool will probably go, or I'll leave it for the next owner, and then my couple of tools up on the side there when I take the brackets down. So I'll give it a good clean out when I'm finished, but a real good move today to get things moving on. Not far away now. Out here I've got some recycling, some paint to go back over the house, a bag full of rubbish, and there were some bonuses. I was waiting for this tray because this is part of my sewing setup, and in here I've got a whole bunch of fittings which I found as I was tidying up, 3 of which are taps, one of which is completely broken but will serve to block up that hole that's down there somewhere underneath. There it is. Should screw into there and do a decent job of bunging that up, which will be nice. Make good use of that tap. And I found the cap, which I think will go in the top of one of these IBCs. Oh, it looks like a spare cap, to be honest, because I've got 2. It's certainly not that one. It looks like a replica of this one. So I'll put that on because that one's a bit chewed, but I will keep it. Right, my water seems to be holding in my barrels, which is nice. Garlic coming along nicely. Wow, is it getting misty? Well, I think that's it for today. Before the mist completely shrouds me, I'm going to close up, get all those bits over the house and be done. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, why not like and subscribe? And if you want my updates, every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 PM. Good times.